You've tried everything to manage your anxiety. You've downloaded meditation apps, practiced deep breathing, exercised regularly, cut out caffeine, improved your sleep hygiene, and maybe even worked with therapists or tried medications. Some things help temporarily, but the anxiety always seems to come back, sometimes stronger than before. You start to feel frustrated, wondering if you're doing something wrong, or if anxiety is just something you'll have to live with forever. If I told you that your anxiety might not be a mental health problem that requires mental health solutions? What if the racing thoughts, the physical tension, the constant worry, and that persistent feeling that something bad is about to happen are actually symptoms of a deeper physiological dysfunction? What if the key to healing your anxiety naturally lies not in your mind, but in a single nerve that most people have never heard of, a nerve that holds the power to fundamentally transform your relationship with fear, stress, and calm? This is the story of how understanding and activating your vagus nerve can provide a pathway to natural anxiety healing that goes far beyond traditional approaches. This isn't about managing anxiety or coping with it better. This is about addressing the root physiological dysfunction that often underlies chronic anxiety and giving your nervous system the tools it needs to return to its natural state of calm alertness and resilience. Your vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve in your body, stretching from your brainstem down through your neck, chest, and into your abdomen. It's the primary pathway of your parasympathetic nervous system, the branch of your autonomic nervous system responsible for rest, healing, digestion, and recovery. When your vagus nerve is functioning optimally, it acts like your body's natural anti-anxiety system, constantly monitoring your internal and external environment and maintaining a state of calm, regulated alertness. But here's what most people don't understand about anxiety. It's not primarily a psychological phenomenon that happens to have physical symptoms. It's fundamentally a nervous system phenomenon that creates psychological experiences. When your vagus nerve is functioning properly, it provides a constant stream of safety signals to your brain, essentially telling your system that everything is okay and it's safe to relax. When vagal function is compromised, these safety signals become weak or absent, leaving your brain to interpret neutral situations as potential threats. Think of your nervous system like a security system in your home. When it's working properly, it can distinguish between real threats and false alarms. It responds appropriately to actual dangers, but doesn't keep you in a constant state of panic over every small sound or movement. But when the system malfunctions, it starts treating everything as a potential threat. The mail carrier becomes an intruder, the wind becomes a burglar, and you end up living in a constant state of hypervigilance and alarm. This is exactly what happens with vagal dysfunction and anxiety. Your nervous system loses its ability to accurately assess safety and threat, so it defaults to treating ambiguous situations as dangerous. This creates the persistent sense of unease, the scanning for potential problems, the racing thoughts, and the physical tension that characterize chronic anxiety. You're not being irrational or weak. Your nervous system is simply working with faulty information. The polyvagal theory, developed by Dr. Stephen Porges, explains how this process works at a deeper level. According to this theory, your vagus nerve has two main branches: the dorsal vagal complex, which is an older, more primitive system associated with shutdown and freeze responses, and the ventral vagal complex, which is a newer, more sophisticated system associated with social engagement, calm alertness, and the ability to feel safe in connection with others. When your ventral vagal system is active and strong, you feel calm, connected, curious, and capable of handling whatever life brings your way. You can think clearly, make good decisions, connect meaningfully with others, and maintain a sense of perspective even during challenging situations. This is your natural state when your nervous system is functioning optimally. but your ventral vagal system becomes suppressed or weakened. Your nervous system shifts into more primitive defensive states. You might move into sympathetic activation, characterized by fight or flight responses, racing thoughts, physical agitation, and hypervigilance. Or you might move into dorsal vagal activation, characterized by shutdown, numbness, disconnection, and a sense of helplessness or depression. Many people with anxiety are stuck cycling between these two defensive states, never quite accessing the calm, regulated state that comes with healthy ventral vagal activation. They might feel agitated and wired during the day, then crash into numbness and exhaustion in the evening. Or they might feel disconnected and depressed most of the time, with periodic episodes of panic or agitation. Understanding this framework is revolutionary because it shifts the focus from trying to control anxious thoughts to supporting the nervous system's natural capacity for regulation and safety. Instead of fighting against anxiety, you can work on strengthening the physiological systems that naturally prevent anxiety from arising in the first place. Vagus nerve activation for anxiety healing works on multiple levels simultaneously. At the most basic level, it helps restore the balance between your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. When you deliberately activate your vagus nerve through specific techniques, you're essentially strengthening your body's natural brake pedal, giving your nervous system the tools it needs to slow down and return to baseline after stress or activation. But vagal activation goes deeper than just relaxation. It actually helps retrain your nervous system's threat detection algorithms. When you consistently practice vagus nerve activation in safe environments, you're teaching your system that it's possible to feel calm and regulated. Over time, this helps shift your nervous system's default state from defensive hypervigilance to calm alertness. The breath is one of the most direct and powerful pathways to vagal activation. Unlike your heart rate or blood pressure, which are largely automatic, breathing is something you can consciously control, and it has immediate effects on your nervous system state. Specific breathing patterns can directly stimulate your vagus nerve and trigger parasympathetic activation within seconds. The most effective breathing technique for vagal activation involves extending your exhale longer than your inhale, particularly when you breathe out slowly through pursed lips or while making soft sounds. This pattern directly stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system because the vagus nerve is intimately connected to your respiratory system. When you extend your exhale, you're literally sending signals to your brain that it's safe to relax. But here's what makes this approach different from generic relaxation breathing. You're not just trying to feel calmer in the moment. You're actually strengthening your vagus nerve's capacity to activate the relaxation response. With consistent practice, your nervous system becomes better at accessing calm states naturally, without conscious effort. It's like training a muscle. The more you practice vagal activation, the stronger and more responsive your vagus nerve becomes. Cold exposure is another remarkably powerful tool for vagal activation and anxiety healing. When you expose your body to cold water or air, it initially triggers a stress response, but then your vagus nerve activates to help your body adapt and recover. This process, repeated over time, significantly strengthens vagal tone and improves your nervous system's resilience to stress. The cold exposure doesn't need to be extreme or prolonged to be effective. Even 30 seconds of cold water on your face, wrists, or the back of your neck can trigger vagal activation. Taking cold showers, swimming in cold water, or simply splashing cold water on your face during anxious moments can provide immediate nervous system regulation while building long-term resilience. What makes cold exposure particularly effective for anxiety is that it teaches your nervous system that it can handle stress and return to calm. Many people with anxiety have lost confidence in their body's ability to self-regulate. Cold exposure provides concrete evidence that your nervous system can activate, adapt, and recover which helps build trust in your body's natural resilience. Vocalization is another profoundly effective pathway to vagal activation. Your vagus nerve innervates the muscles of your throat, larynx, and vocal cords. So when you hum, sing, chant, or even gargle, you're directly stimulating vagal pathways. This is why many people instinctively hum when they're trying to self-soothe, or why singing can be so emotionally regulating. The Om sound used in meditation traditions is particularly effective because the vibration resonates through your chest and throat in ways that strongly stimulate the vagus nerve. But you don't need formal chanting to get benefits. Simply humming your favorite song, gargling with water, or doing vocal toning exercises can activate parasympathetic responses and help shift your nervous system out of anxious states. What's particularly powerful about vocalization for anxiety is that it combines vagal stimulation with emotional expression. Anxiety often involves trapped energy and suppressed emotions. Vocalization provides a safe way to move this energy while simultaneously activating your body's natural calming mechanisms, movement-based. Vagal activation can be especially helpful for people whose anxiety manifests as physical tension or agitation. Gentle, rhythmic movements like yoga, Tai Chi, or even simple stretching can activate parasympathetic pathways while helping to discharge accumulated stress energy from your system. The key is movement that feels soothing rather than stimulating. Intense exercise can actually increase sympathetic activation in some people with anxiety, while gentle, mindful movement tends to support vagal activation. Walking in nature, gentle stretching, or slow, flowing movements help your nervous system shift from activation to restoration by progressive muscle. Relaxation works particularly well for anxiety because it teaches your nervous system the difference between tension and relaxation while providing direct vagal stimulation. When you consciously tense and then release different muscle groups throughout your body, you're essentially giving your nervous system a clear demonstration of what relaxation feels like. Many people with chronic anxiety have lost touch with what relaxation actually feels like in their bodies. Progressive muscle relaxation helps restore this awareness while strengthening the neural pathways associated with letting go of tension. The release phase of the exercise activates parasympathetic responses and can provide immediate anxiety relief. Social connection and co-regulation represent some of the most powerful forms of vagal activation, though they're often overlooked in anxiety treatment. Your vagus nerve is heavily involved in social engagement and the ability to feel safe in connection with others. When you're in the presence of someone who is calm and regulated, their nervous system can actually help regulate yours through what researchers call co-regulation. This is why anxiety often feels better when you're around certain people and worse when you're around others. It's not just psychological, it's physiological. Calm, regulated people literally broadcast safety signals through their voice tone, facial expressions, and body language that your vagus nerve picks up on and responds to. Building relationships with people who feel safe and calming can provide ongoing support for your nervous system healing. This might include family members, friends, therapists, support group members, or even pets. The key is spending time with beings whose presence helps your nervous system feel safer and more regulated. Touch and physical comfort can also provide powerful vagal activation, though this needs to be approached carefully with anxiety, as some people may have trauma histories that make touch feel threatening rather than soothing. Safe, consensual touch, whether from loved ones, massage therapists, or even self-touch like gentle self-massage, can activate parasympathetic responses and help your nervous system remember what safety feels like. Even simple self-touch practices like placing your hand on your heart, gently stroking your arm, or giving yourself a hug can provide vagal stimulation and nervous system soothing. These practices work best when done mindfully, with attention to the sensations of comfort and care rather than as mechanical techniques. The timing and consistency of vagal activation practices are crucial for anxiety healing. While these techniques can provide immediate relief during anxious moments, their real power lies in consistent daily practice that gradually strengthens your nervous system's natural regulation abilities. It's like physical exercise. Occasional intense workouts are less effective than consistent moderate practice over time. Many people find it helpful to establish regular vagal activation practices throughout the day, not just during anxious moments. This might include morning breathing exercises, cold exposure during showers, humming while doing household tasks, or evening relaxation practices. This consistent stimulation helps maintain higher baseline vagal tone, making your nervous system more resilient to stress and less likely to shift into anxious states. The concept of dosing is important with vagal activation practices. Just as with medication, more isn't always better. Some people, particularly those with trauma histories or severe anxiety, may initially find strong vagal stimulation overwhelming. It's often better to start with gentle, brief practices and gradually increase intensity and duration as your nervous system adapts. This is why working with qualified practitioners can be valuable, especially when beginning vagal activation work. They can help you find the right dose of stimulation for your individual nervous system and guide you through the process of gradually building tolerance and resilience. Environmental factors play crucial roles in supporting vagal activation. For anxiety healing, your nervous system is constantly monitoring your environment for safety and threat cues. So creating environments that support feelings of safety can enhance the effectiveness of vagal activation practices. This might involve adjusting lighting to be softer and warmer, reducing noise pollution, incorporating natural elements like plants or water features, or simply ensuring that you have comfortable, safe spaces where you can practice vagal activation techniques without interruption. Even small environmental changes can significantly impact your nervous system's receptivity to regulation practices. The gut-brain connection through the vagus nerve is particularly important for anxiety healing. Your gut contains its own nervous system that communicates extensively with your brain through vagal pathways. Gut health issues, food sensitivities, or inflammation can send distress signals to your brain through the vagus nerve, contributing to anxiety symptoms. Supporting gut health through proper nutrition, probiotics, reducing inflammatory foods, and healing digestive issues can provide significant anxiety relief by reducing the inflammatory signals traveling to your brain through vagal pathways. This is why many people notice improvements in anxiety when they address digestive health, even though the connection might not be immediately obvious. Sleep quality is both influenced by and influences vagal tone. Poor sleep suppresses vagal function, which can worsen anxiety, while anxiety can make it harder to achieve the deep, restorative sleep that supports vagal health. Vagal activation practices can help break this cycle by supporting better sleep quality, which then supports better daytime anxiety management. Practicing gentle vagal activation techniques before bed, such as soft humming, gentle breathing exercises, or progressive muscle relaxation, can help your nervous system shift into the parasympathetic state necessary for quality sleep. This creates a positive cycle where better sleep supports better vagal tone, which supports better anxiety management and even better sleep. The trauma-informed approach to vagal activation is essential for many people with anxiety, as anxiety often has roots in past experiences that have dysregulated the nervous system. Trauma can suppress vagal function and create patterns of chronic defensive activation that manifest as anxiety. Healing approaches that don't address these underlying nervous system impacts may provide temporary relief, but miss the deeper patterns. At-need healing. Vagal activation practices can be powerful tools for trauma healing, but they need to be approached carefully and often with professional support. The goal is to gradually help the nervous system remember how to feel safe and regulated, but this process needs to respect the protective mechanisms that trauma responses represent. Some people may initially find vagal activation practices triggering because their nervous systems have learned to interpret relaxation as dangerous. This is why trauma-informed approaches emphasize choice, control, and gradual exposure rather than forcing relaxation or pushing through resistance. The integration of vagal activation with other anxiety healing approaches can be particularly powerful. Therapy can help address the psychological components of anxiety, while vagal activation supports the physiological healing. Nutrition and lifestyle changes can support overall nervous system health, while specific vagal practices provide targeted nervous system training. Medications, when appropriate, can provide the stability needed to engage in nervous system healing work. Rather than seeing these approaches as competing alternatives, they can work synergistically to address anxiety from multiple angles simultaneously. The long-term vision of vagal activation for anxiety healing goes beyond just reducing symptoms. The goal is to help your nervous system remember its natural capacity for regulation, resilience, and calm alertness. As your vagal tone improves, you may notice not just less anxiety, but greater emotional resilience, better stress tolerance, improved relationships, better sleep, and an overall sense of feeling more at home in your own body. Many people describe the process of vagal healing as coming back to themselves, returning to a state of calm alertness and engaged presence that feels like their natural way of being. This isn't about becoming a different person or achieving some idealized state of constant calm. It's about supporting your nervous system's natural capacity to navigate life's challenges with resilience and grace. The beauty of vagal activation for anxiety healing is that it works with your body's existing systems rather than against them. You're not trying to suppress or control anxiety through willpower or external interventions. You're strengthening your nervous system's natural capacity to maintain balance and return to calm after activation. This approach can be particularly empowering for people who have felt helpless about their anxiety or dependent on external solutions. Learning to activate your own vagus nerve gives you concrete tools for self-regulation and a deeper understanding of how your nervous system works. Over time, this can build genuine confidence in your body's ability to handle whatever life brings. Your vagus nerve has been with you since before birth, working tirelessly to coordinate your body's responses and help you navigate the world safely. If anxiety has become a persistent companion, it might be a sign that this remarkable system needs support to function optimally. Understanding how to activate and strengthen your vagus nerve opens up a natural pathway to anxiety healing that honors your body's innate wisdom and capacity for self-regulation. The journey of healing anxiety through vagal activation isn't always linear or quick, but it offers something that many other approaches don't: the possibility of fundamental nervous system transformation that creates lasting change rather than just symptom management. Your anxiety doesn't define you, and with the right support for your nervous system, you can return to your natural state of calm, curious, connected presence in the world.